Well, 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 you have finally got here. You are listening to the Erskine Music Podcast. Here, by popular demand, we discuss life, culture, Christ, and of course, music. These half hour broadcasts are perfect for a commute, coffee time, chat, or any other gap in your schedule where you want to put great content. So without further ado, let's join the conversation today, already in progress.
Pretty soon, I'm not even showing up to the show anymore. I'm just going to put all the information into AI, and I'm going to let AI take care of everything on the show. And so before too much longer, I'm not even going to show up anymore. AI knows what I'm going to think. So AI is going to have Joel Osteen up on this bad boy in a strange, funny way. It's going to have Bodie Bacham up on this thing in a serious way. It's going to have Steve Lawson and others up on there in a very serious way. It's going to have gospel proclamation that's coming through here, and there's nothing that you can do about it because I'll say, hey, it wasn't me. What? It was just my AI version who just came in and did all that. So anyway, we got to get Wally off of here. It's time to start the show, guys. We don't have time for all this goofing off, although that's pretty much what I do at the beginning of my show because we got such a banging introduction this year. All right, let's get to our banging introduction for the show. Without further ado, today's version and episode of the Erskine Music Show, Season 7. Here we go. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about AI Joel Osteen. I'm going to invite AI Erskine to the show here in just a few moments. And so you will not want to miss this episode of the Erskine Music Show. Our top story for today: what the heck are we going to do about AI? And a couple of comments that I have based on the video that we're about to watch. All right, AI Erskine, Cyber Erskine is on the show for today. Is it really me? Or did I just go walks? Am I taking a walk right now? Am I taking a vacation right now? And I just put my avatar and said, hey, what would Erskine say if he was on the rest of the show? You don't know that yet. But so Cyber Erskine is on the show for today. Spooky. But let's look at this video. I want to share the screen here. What the truth reveals about the mega church pastor Joel Osteen and others of his ilk. And this is part hilarious, and then there's some serious, I think, undertones that I think we need to talk about on this show. So let's check this out.
Bible, and I never say a word from it. And when I actually do say something from it, I twist it to make it say what I want to say. After all, I'm working for the man downstairs, if you catch my vibe. If you're looking for a mega church, folks, look no further. Lakewood Church is where it's at. It is one of the best mega churches in the world. Top-notch sound and top-notch entertainment during our worship experience. My mega church is the best church you will attend. Aside from the fact that we closed our doors to the Hurricane Harvey people, I'd say
They wrong for this video. They are flat out wrong for this video. They are clowning at a level that I just find one part refreshing and one part just ridiculous. But they did pick up on some things that are seriously unserious. And one of the things that I wanted to note was, all right, cyber me has got to go away. I keep looking at the screen and seeing cyber me. If this is what I look like in AI, I don't even know. But him talking about, even though we closed our doors to the people who had needs during Hurricane Harvey, the facilities, the place that we have, the center that we have, top-notch facilities. Like, man, we wouldn't want to mess up those carpets or anything. We wouldn't want to mess up our facilities by bringing all those Hurricane Harvey people in. You know, somebody trying to take stuff from our bookstore, maybe even things like that. And it's hilarious because you see places like that, and you know, and this is not a swipe against the mega churches. I've played at some very big churches before. I don't play at many big churches. And you guys know that demographically, most churches are small churches or smallish churches, smaller churches in the context that we find ourselves in. But having played at some of the bigger churches, there's just a lot, there's a ton of production. And look, I'm not against production because you guys know that at some point I'm going to be playing at Bridgestone Arena, and I'll be using a lot of production for that. I'll be playing at, the Titan Stadium and all those different things. Production is fine, but production, when it becomes production of the epic scale that you have for something that is ultimately promulgating weak Christian doctrine, bad discipleship. Now, in fairness, I think that if Joel Osteen and I sat down and we had a conversation about the essentials of the faith, I think that I may be able to discern that he actually is a Christian. But you guys know that between our relationship with Christ and our responsibilities in the world, there's a lot of layers in between that. And so for Joel Osteen, who has the responsibilities of all the things that he has monetarily, location-wise, prominence in his persona, his brand, so to speak, and all the different responsibilities that he has related to people, possessions, things, there's a lot of that that governs and dictates what it is that he says and or does not say. And so it's easier for me to sit back as a YouTuber and talk about how weak some of his interviews are. They're going to show some of the clips of it. Talk about how weak some of his interviews are without having the responsibilities that he has.
Well, that certainly gives a sense of why people enjoy this show. Very engaging, very heartfelt. We will return to the conversation in a few moments, but first, let's thank our sponsors and you for all your awesome support. Moody Radio's Dawn and Steve Morning Show, Life Action Ministries, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and Holt International. Thanks so much to our partners who make such a difference.
Thanks, Jason. This is Dawn.
And this is Steve of Don and Steve in the Morning on Moody Radio. You can find us online at donandsteve.org, or you can listen through the Moody Radio app.
And as friends of the Erskine Music Show, we always enjoy the variety of topics our friend has on his show.
So, on behalf of our show, thanks, Erskine, for bringing great Christ-centered topics to the people.
All right, let's get back to the show.
So
this is where it gets good.
To discern at some point that he's either one of the best motivational speakers that I've ever met and actually not a pastor. I have a struggle with him being known as a pastor, but nonetheless, he's there. This is somebody's AI rendering of Joel Osteen and how cotton candy he is. So let's look at a little bit more of this, but they straight wrong for making this video.
We're pretty good. Listen, folks, if it's good enough for God, it ought to be good enough for you. Besides, we donate millions of dollars to charities around the world. That should be enough to keep those critics off my back. Here at Lakewood, we're a hub for your favorite mega-rich celebrities. From Kanye West and Kim Kardashian to Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. I mean, the list goes on. We are all about the status, the fame, and the Benjamins. If you're
I love the way they're calling folks out that need to be called out on this particular. They done done enough on this one. Let's do more.
looking for your best life now, this is the mega church for you. If you're looking for success, promotion, how to win big on Wall Street and the stock market, Lakewood is just right for you. We are all about everything that is not the gospel. In fact, you won't even hear the word gospel mentioned in my talks. Every now and then, we show our faces in BLM protests and make sure our pictures are captured and check off our PR box as we march on to dismantle systemic racism in America.
Now that is a that is a funny picture there. Watching now, all you guys know that this is a spoof. This is a AI rendering, putting Joel Osteen in the midst of a lot of these things. Some of them are wooden literal in terms of things that he has actually said and things that he's actually done. And then they'll put some clips there at the backside of this of himself actually speaking to these things. But we got these representations of he's Gospel for Christ video. Who put this together is poking the bear, because there's a lot of folks who love the photo ops with all the right people doing all the right things. for all the right public perception. And that's what's being called out of this
America.
section.
Since we're on the subject, I just want to apologize for being a white male and also for all the inequality in the world. We at Lakewood Church care a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion. No one in their right mind would be dumb enough to turn down membership to our church, except for those who truly want to live a godly life and go to heaven. Those people are idiots anyway. Here at Lakewood Church, we welcome everyone. I mean everyone, straight people, gay people, trans people, gender fluid people, two-spirit penguins, you name it.
He said two-spirit penguins. Oh my. They are straight clowning on this thing. I watched it through one time and I thought I want to go ahead and jump on this one because it's a good condensation of some things that I want to talk about. And by the time I air this, I will have done at least one or maybe two of my episodes on the doctrine of hell. And so I wanted to put these kind of things simultaneous with one another. So if you go back and you want to see why I'm kind of on this thing, is because I have spent some time at least, and again, I intend to spend some more time with Alan Parr's video where he is talking about the doctrine of hell. You know, that forgotten doctrine of the fact that we die, the fact that Hebrews 9:27 said is appointed to a man wants to die, and then the judgment. We forget about that whole judgment part of that, and we're like, hey, you know, what are we doing next Friday? Well, you know what? You don't know if you're going to be around next Friday, actually. And the people who funerals you have gone to recently, they probably thought they had a little bit more time than they actually did. And everybody who died today or yesterday had plans for today. And so, you know, in the light of those things, it's important for us to kind of have some really stark discussions about things. I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to get banned. I'm actually trying to have as many people see this as possible so that we can talk about this. Let's get to this. If everybody is included, everybody's okay, there's nothing that needs to change in anybody's life, then what does holiness actually mean? And why do we even care that Jesus came and that he lived a sinless life, fulfilling the requirements that God had upon his life? Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. Why would he even say such things like that if no holiness or no standard was required of anybody? And we could all just do whatever the heck we want to do and go before God and be like, hey, look, I'm two-spirit penguins. All right, cool. Yeah, I like the variety and the diversity of that. Yeah, so let me be clear about this. This video is nonsense in some regards because it's just poking holes. And maybe if Joel Osteen is your favorite preacher and that sort of thing, then we can have another discussion about discipleship. But it's poking holes in this whole notion, this whole idea that everybody is included in everything. Listen, there's a narrow path and only a few find it. And that is the path toward righteousness. There's a broad road that leads to destruction, and many go down that road. And so if we're talking about those who will stand before the Lord and say, Lord, Lord, in your name did we not prophesy, and in your name did we not cast out devils? And he will say, depart from me. I don't even know who you are. If that's the situation that's going to happen for many, many people, listen, cyber me with the eyes. But many, many people are going to experience that. Then let's be at least thoughtful about the fact that there's a sense of urgency that exists in the mission of the church and among the people of the church that is not being recognized by people like Joel Osteen and people who are trying to rest themselves in the quality of their life here and now and the American Candyland dream.
And our doors are opened. Here at Lakewood, we are not against anybody. We are for everybody. After all, we need everyone's money. That reminds me, if you happen to find bags of money stashed between the walls of our church,
which did actually happen,
it is important for you to return that money to us. Before we go any further, I'd like to introduce you to my beautiful wife, Victoria Osteen. If you think I'm bad, wait till she gets on stage and start talking. You don't know what cunning is until that woman opens her mouth.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward that because, everything that he's saying is true. All right, everything that he's saying is true. But when you start bringing people's wives into stuff, even though they're both charlatans, I got to kind of fast forward on this a little bit. So let me get to some actual clips. Let's get some actual clips. So here we go. And I love what this brother has to say about this. I wouldn't have brought his wife into the situation because, I'm kind of one of those warriors that's not quite bored. Like, my wife is kind of like, yeah, you come across a little strong sometimes. Just let me talk to the ladies. She's like, you do a better job talking with men, because I like to look people right in their eyes and tell people exactly what I think about stuff. It's a lost art. It doesn't have to be contentious, but if I think something about something, I will get into a staring competition with you and we will have some words. I ain't apologizing for that because I'm a dude. And if there were more dudes that could actually respond under those situations, we wouldn't have this. You thought that I was going to go there. Big Head was like, don't do it. Don't talk about how weak and sissy this generation is. All right, you thought I was gonna go there, didn't you?
Most shocking truths about megachurches, celebrity pastors, and the lifestyle they live. I mean, the honesty in that video truly caught me by surprise. On a separate note though, what you heard in that commercial is the undergirding principle of the American gospel. A gospel where you get what you need and what you want from a God you make in your own image. It's a Christless gospel devoid of sin and repentance.
Do you feel like you're cheating
This is the actual clip from the actual man.
people by not telling them about the hell part? The repentance part?
Look at her face. Hold up, I gotta run it back. Run the tape back. Look at her face. She's kind of like, hell. Like, do you think you're like misleading people? Can I get it like stuck on that face? Here we go.
Cheating people by not telling them about the hell?
Oh, come on. We can do this, people.
Cheating people by not telling them about the...
Oh, man, I can't do it. She kind of had this look like, about the hell part of things? And he's kind of like, oh, man, I'm going to have to answer this question. Oh, there's going to be people out there who've actually read their Bible. Let me see how I can softball this one.
Hell part? The repentance part?
Yeah, I really don't, because it's a different
He's disappointed that he has to answer this question.
approach. It's not hellfire and brimstone.
He's a liar.
This brother done mixed in some Paul Washer. Nobody can stand up to Paul Washer.
Because Jesus spoke on hell more than absolutely everybody else put together.
I say most people are beaten down enough by life. They already feel guilty enough. They're not doing what they should do, raising.
Is that true? Get in the comment section today. Jump in this bad boy and tell me that most people are thinking about their lives in the light of eternity. In fact, the Bible requires us to do what Psalm 90 verse 12 says. Teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. Teach us that, Lord, because we don't naturally and residently have thoughts about eternity, which means we don't think about the fact that, is the way that I'm living going to send me to hell? Is the way that I'm living going to send me to hell and others that are around me going to go to hell? And so, listen, let's be clear about this. Islam, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm talking to you, because even though you live a religious life, and sometimes among some of you, a devoutly religious life, I guess to some extent, those who have not trusted Christ, who are also Jewish, who just will resist the notion that Jesus is the Messiah, you will also go to hell as well. So let me just be clear about that. Buddhism, Hinduism, if you're out there apart from Jesus Christ, you will go to hell even though you are religious. So are most people thinking about the fact that by virtue of their lives and their doctrine and their teaching, like our devotion for today, that they're going to go to hell and perhaps teach others how to go to hell as well? No, they're not thinking about that. And so even though there's some things in this video, I wouldn't have put some of these things in this video. This brother felt like he needed to put these things in this video because they call out something that is resident, not just to Joel Osteen. Let's just get off of him for a second. This is resident to the human condition and for folks who are in the United States of America. And we're going to have to get
Their kids are,
Hold on a second. Hold the heck on. You guys do this, and I'm going to get Cyber.
we can all find reasons. So I want them to come to Lakewood or our meetings and be lifted up.
No, No, that's not what people need. They can have that if it's gravy. But first they need to know who he is, period, full stop. And then they need to know what he's done, period, full stop. If you know who he is and you know what he's done, period, full stop, then we have time for a conversation about my own personal experience of it. We can get to that. But the last thing you need is just my personal experience of whatever.
I want him to come to Lakewood or our meetings and be lifted up to say, you know what? I may not be perfect, but I'm moving forward. I'm doing better, and I think that motivates you to do better.
Is getting your best life now really what's important? Wouldn't it be better to rot in a prison for all the 80 years of your life and be saved from hell rather than to get your best life now and perish?
It is.
All right, so I'm going to stop the video right there. You guys can go check that out. That'll be in the show notes and the links for today. You remember when DeAndre Jordan, when Lob City was doing this thing, and I think it was Chris Paul or somebody threw a lob to him, and he came up out of the back and just spread eagle, just dunked it. And he kind of made this face like, that was nasty. That video, I'm like, that video was nasty because we just straight alley-oop dunked it on prosperity preachers and those who are clamoring for their best life now. So let's stop sharing that so that we can get back to the studio. Get back to the studio, my friends. All right. My stuff is down there at the bottom. Let's get my stuff off of there. This is a hot topic. So I want to have just a couple of minutes, of this kind of conversation about what we are seeing today. What we are hearing today in this video related to our perception of, our promulgation of, and then 3 things that I wanted to bring up really quickly. So you guys jump in the comment section. I don't even know who's, because this is pre-recorded. I don't know who's watching today, but somebody is watching this today that needs to hear the stuff that we're talking about today. And hopefully, as you're watching this, you can tell other people, maybe Vodi Bakum in that clip actually has something of greater value to tell us. That the spiritual triage, so to speak, the spiritual grid work, so to speak, has not so much to do with what do I think about any given topic. How do I feel about any given topic? What kind of gender do I feel like I need to be today in reference to any given topic? What kind of reality, penguin, nighthawk, guinea pig, whale that I need to identify myself as? Not so much of those conversations are what is valuable and important, but maybe through the revelation that God has given us, we look at that revelation and we say, well, there is something that we need to know about God first. He said, period, full stop. Well, I don't know how many people in comment sections who argue who have never actually even read this thing. And when I say read it, like I sometimes will talk about it. I'm like, hey, have you read the whole Bible? Like, I love the fact that you love Christ, but like, what if there's something in the Bible that's a verse that you haven't read before that you look at and you go, oh, man, didn't know that was there. Oh, this whole Christianity thing is going to be a problem. See, look at these verses right here. Because obviously that's nonsense, because if you're actually a Christian, then the Holy Spirit has captivated you. And you know there's not going to be anything that you're going to read. But apparently in our generation, can I get a witness? Apparently in our generation, there's a lot of people, the Derek Webbs of the world, and I'm calling him out a lot this season, who have found Christianity. They've tried Christianity. They have tasted and seen, and they do not like Christianity. Apparently, when they got saved, and this book was life to them. But apparently, as they went a little bit farther on in their Christian life, they got unsaved, or they got unsatisfied because I guess the things in this book were irrelevant to them, or, you know, the hobbies that they had or the mentality that they had were, you know, a little bit more important than what this book has to say. And so I question, seriously, those who have, what are they calling it, deconstructed in their faith. I would love to see the vital spiritual statistics on those who have deconstructed, who actually never really had a construction in the first place. Can I get a witness? Because as I understand the Holy Spirit's work, Ephesians chapter 2, being brought to life from death, I recognize that if you were dead and now you're alive and not dead. Man, this guy's this show is prophetic. Okay, so here's a couple things that I wanted to say about this hot topic today. Check it out. Look, we can do this all day long. If you guys want to chop it up in the comment section, keep this comment going. Have you seen people who preach like this? Do you listen to preachers? Are you in the midst of going, man, that guy, he's a tool, but maybe he's not such a tool. Maybe he's just telling us what it is that we needed to hear. Are you that person who's watching the show today and you're going, you know what? You've confronted, you've poked, you've exposed the idolatry of our generation, the idolatry of my heart, in such a helpful, in such a helpful way that I am now considering eternity. Well, that would be the good point of this show. But here's, when we talk about the admixture of AI, how you can manufacture videos, how you can promulgate certain things without the people actually even being there. It's amazing. In man's desperate attempt to respond to what has happened in the Garden of Eden, basically being banished from the tree of life, having accessed the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we take that knowledge and we become evil. That's what the Genesis record shows us. And as a result of that, God says, no, I'm going to put a limit. I'm going to cap this thing out so that death becomes something that you guys deal with on a regular basis. And even in life, there's pain associated with that. And even in work, which has dignity to it, there's going to be pain and frustration in that. And even in the relationships that you guys treasure, men and women, there's going to be frustration in that as well. And so as we have tried to get back to some semblance of the glory in which we shared with our Creator, now maligned, we have AI and artificial intelligence and technology that tells us anything that we want to know and can do just about anything that we want it to do. But in the midst of that pursuit, in the midst of us essentially trying to become God, we have forsaken the actual Creator.
Well, you probably already know that when you hear that sound, there's music on the way. After all, this is kind of a music show. Sit back and enjoy. All the music can be easily found on your favorite digital distribution channels. Turn up the volume and here we go.
Things are really going down, down, down. pray for, pray for. Oh, oh. Yeah, turn around to heaven and pray for some peace. Yeah, we can do this thing together. Yeah, Lord help us to see. Turn around to heaven. Oh, oh, pray for some peace. Yeah, we can do this thing together. Yeah, Lord help us to see. Lord help us to see. Yeah, Lord help us to see. Oh, oh.
You find yourself in the midst of that. Here's a question that I would ask. Teleprompter is acting like I am just balling out here. But one of the dangers that I see here is we're getting bad preaching out to more people. You saw a couple of those panoramic shots of the Compaq Center, wherever it is, Lakewood, where Joel Osteen, Joyce Myers, I don't know if they brought up T.D. Jakes, Potter's House, but some of these mega centers where there's communication that's going on. But communication that's helpful under the discussion that we are having about the fact that there's an eternity that will be faced by all of us to stand before the Lord, to stand on the basis of either our acceptance of the mediatorial work of Christ, repenting of our sin and putting our trust in Jesus, or standing on the, listen, you guys want to be God? You want to be God? Because I've heard from so many New Age gurus channeling their crystals and shuffling their rocks around that we all have the essence of God within us. You want to be God? All right, well, little God, you're going to stand before the only true and living God, the Ancient of Days, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. You will stand before the Lord Sabaoth. And little God that you want to be out there, you won't measure up. You won't measure up. And the fact that there's so much AI and the capability of AI to get bad preaching out there helps offset some of the things that I want to talk about. Like, I think there's some tremendous upside to artificial intelligence. I'm almost 50-50. Maybe I'm 60-40 now after this, but or 40-60 as the case would be. But there's some tremendous upside to artificial intelligence and being able to get gospel preaching, gospel clarity to many, many people who will chat. GPT can go on, they can ask questions, they can get substantive answers about things. They can get recordings of clear proclamations of the gospel that can't be identified to a particular person, so that they throw that person in jail, but they can't throw the AI in jail. So there's a lot of different potentials that are there, but the harms on the other side of that seem to be you can get bad preaching out to more people. That's a tremendous eternal harm to people. So getting bad preaching, that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. So if you guys want to talk about that, jump in the comment section and talk about the promulgation among masses of people of bad preaching. All right, so there's a second thing that I wanted to talk about here on this show, and I thought, this is the Erskine Music Show. What are we doing here? Let's do this. So here's the deal. There's a second thing that is this sort of crisis of authenticity. The crisis of authenticity is a real crisis, folks. What even is real anymore? Now, some of those AI renderings of Joel Osteen, you could clearly tell that that was not him. That was some facsimile that looked like him. When you got a chance to see the actual Joel Osteen, you could see how one could triangulate from the actual images of Joel Osteen to what the AI had produced about him. But hey, the essence of what is actually real these days, opposed to what is false in this world, is epidemic. We are looking for authenticity. And I will say this for the folks that commented so strongly about my take on Anthony Oliver. Look, don't get distracted by all those different things. we'll revisit the conversation in about a year or so, and you guys will see that I'm right. Not a prophet. I'm just right about a lot of things that are coming to pass because I can see through a portal. I can see into the future. But the reason why people responded to that, both those who were in his camp and those who were not in his camp, and it became an anthem for them and an anthem for many diverse groups of people, is because they could see in the video something that smacked of, or at least spoke to, authenticity. Politicians, inauthentic. It's sort of, we've been trained to recognize and see through the polish and see through the teleprompter and see through the making up of statistics at debates, just inauthentic people who are there vying for our attention. Sadly, even in the church, inauthenticity. There's so much in that video that showed money, 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 stacks of money, gobs of money, 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 money. And I learned a phrase a long time ago that has served me well, friends, and it'll serve you well. When you're looking and evaluating things and trying to get some essence and idea of the authenticity of the thing, everything has some type of monetary thing that's attached to it. Like the Erskine Music Show, we can do this show. I think I'm making enough with Erskine Music that I don't have to make money on this, but you can scan the QR code there. You can donate to the show. You can do all those different things. I mean, that's helpful, and that helps things, go along. But, we're making enough money doing other things that we can do this and not have to get money from everybody and not have to constantly be asking for money. So that's fine. It's there if you want to contribute to the show. But the phrase that I learned was follow the money. How does this money trail work? Who pays who to do what? How does one get money? And where does one get money from? And once you begin to find those things out, you then begin to see the uncovering of what's going on in our society. Why are some people so bold, so vocal when it comes to certain groups, certain things? And yet, when you look at apples to apples and you say, well, if they're against this, then you should also be against this, chirping, crickets. You don't hear anything. And the reason why you don't hear anything is because there's a tripwire of money that goes across some of those things. If they start talking about this thing, that's important to this group, and this group actually is a feeder to the money that they get. So they can hammer away at certain things, but they're not going to cross across all the spectrum and begin hammering away. So follow the money. What is authentic these days? And the third thing that I wanted to talk about is AI knows you better than you know yourself. This is let's see, we're at 50 minutes already. I'm going to play some Erskine music on the way out. So here's the topic, and I'll talk about it as we get out of the show today. But it is this whole idea that social media, if you think that you're using social media, watch some of these documentaries like Social Dilemma or Childhood 2.0. The social media is actually using you. It is figuring out everything about your tendencies, everything about your habits, so that it can market things to you, brand things to you, and get you to spend, once again, money. And so we're going to get to this in several episodes in season 7, but follow the money is often following what is going on in our hearts and going on in our minds in reference to what God, or how we're becoming God, but I should say in reference to how we're going to see ourselves in the light of eternity. What is getting on my thing here? And so watching that trail of how money influences our heart, money influences our perspective, money influences the things we talk about and the things that we don't talk about. And those who study us know that there's a trigger. There's something that is going to get us to spend more money. We just have to figure out what that is, and we can market to that thing, and you will begin spend. You will go into your hard-earned money. Have a missionary or somebody show up and say, hey man, we need some money so we can tell people. We need some money so we can give some Bibles to some indigenous tribes. You're like, man, I don't know if we can do that this month, man. We kind of struggling, and things. But hey, we'll be at the game. We'll be buying jerseys. We'll be buying things. We'll get what it is that we want and what it is that we need. But when it comes to those kind of things, we're kind of like, I don't really know about that. And that's all an indication of our heart and what we truly value and where we truly spend our time, talent, and treasure.
We have come to the end of this episode. Don't miss a final word from Erskine.
Hey guys, tell your friends about this show. And as always, I look forward to your interactions. Please contact us as you are able. We love to hear from you. Okay, friends, let's go and make a difference.